Life isn't fair. It never has been, and it never will be. Sooner or later, you're going to fall. You'll feel like the entire world is crumbling around you. Like every ounce of strength you once had has completely vanished. There will be days when fear freezes you in place, when doubt seeps into every corner of your mind, whispering that you can't go on. But listen to me closely. Inside you, there exists a strength you haven't even begun to tap into yet. A strength that doesn't show itself on sunny days or during easy victories, but one that only comes alive in the darkest, most painful moments. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that pain isn't our enemy. It's a relentless, sometimes brutal, but always honest teacher. The real question is this: will you let suffering break you? Or will you transform it into the fuel that forges you into someone even stronger than before? I'm not talking about those mornings when you spill your coffee, or the days you miss the bus and feel annoyed. You and I both know there are wounds far deeper than that. The kind of wounds that come when someone you love betrays your trust. When life rips someone away from you without warning, leaving you standing there breathless, without answers, without even the will to take another step forward. That kind of pain, the kind that knocks the wind out of your lungs and leaves you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering why life is so unbearably cruel. But my friend, hear this. Pain is not the end of your story. The Stoics knew that suffering is woven into the fabric of life, but they also believed that within every raging storm lies a hidden opportunity, a chance to grow roots deeper, to stand taller, to rise even stronger than before. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 powerful Stoic lessons that will help you overcome life's toughest, most heart-wrenching moments. Lessons drawn from those who endured the unimaginable and still stood unbroken. But before we dive into those timeless lessons, let me tell you a story, a real story, one that stings, but leaves behind a lesson you'll carry forever. This is the story of Pedro. Pedro was a man who lived a calm, stable, almost predictable life. He had a job he didn't love, but it paid the bills. He spent Sundays with his family. He followed a routine that, while monotonous, gave him a comforting sense of security. Until one night, everything changed. A phone call in the middle of the night jolted him awake, delivering the worst news he could have ever imagined. His younger brother, his best friend, his confidant, had died in an accident, just like that. No warning, no chance for one last conversation, no final goodbye. In one single moment, Pedro's world shattered into pieces. The days that followed were like wandering through a dense, endless fog. Pedro stopped eating properly. He couldn't sleep. Everything that once held meaning now felt painfully insignificant. Life had cruelly snatched away one of the most important people in his world, and there was absolutely nothing he could do to reverse it. But the worst part wasn't just the pain. It was the anger, the rage he felt toward life, toward fate, toward everything and everyone for taking so much from him without mercy, without reason. It's not fair, he repeated over and over, feeling like a helpless victim trapped in an endless spiral of suffering, with no exit in sight. Until one day, his father, a quiet, thoughtful man, said something that would change Pedro's life forever. They sat together at the kitchen table, coffee cups in hand, the steam long gone cold. His father looked into his eyes with a depth only years of silent wisdom can offer, and said softly, "Pedro, pain is inevitable. But suffering is a choice." Pedro frowned, confused and hurt. How could his father say something like that, now of all times? What did he even mean? But his father continued, unwavering. "You can't change what happened. You can't bring your brother back. But you can choose what to do with this pain. You can let it destroy you completely, or you can use it. You can transform it into strength, a force to honor his memory, to move forward with more determination and purpose than ever before." Pedro sat in silence, stunned. He didn't respond right away. But his father wasn't finished. "There's something I think might help you," his father said, standing up and reaching for an old book on a dusty shelf. "It's called Stoicism. The wise men of the past, they suffered losses just like yours, and they found a way to keep moving forward." His father handed him a worn copy of Letters to Lucilius by Seneca, his fingers stopping at a particular page. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a letter titled Consolation to Marcia, written to a mother grieving the death of her son. Pedro took the book reluctantly, without much enthusiasm. But as he began to read, something unexpected happened. The words didn't just speak to him, they pierced him, as if Seneca himself was sitting beside him. Seeing straight into the depths of his suffering, Seneca wrote, "We dare not say out loud what we know deep inside, that our children are born mortal and that we have no control over their fate. We deceive ourselves with comforting illusions and then act surprised. When nature finally asserts itself." Pedro felt a shiver run down his spine. Was it true? Had he been living his entire life under the silent belief that those he loved would always be there, immune to the randomness of fate? He kept reading, his heart pounding. The wise man does not grieve over what he has lost, but rejoices in having had it. Those words knocked the air from his lungs. For the first time, he realized that his entire existence had been consumed by loss, by focusing on what was gone, on what he no longer had. But he had never truly stopped to feel gratitude for the time he did have with his brother. That night, for the first time in weeks, Pedro slept without the sharp edge of anger. Gnawing at his chest. The next morning, something shifted inside him. He started reading more about Stoicism. He began to understand that the key wasn't to control life, because life would never be fully under his control. The key was to master his reaction to it. He learned that suffering multiplies when we resist the inevitable, when we fight against reality as it is. But it dissolves, almost magically, when we accept it with wisdom and openness. Today, Pedro is no longer the man he was on that devastating night. He is stronger, wiser, not because the pain vanished, but because he learned to transform it into fuel. He uses the pain now to move forward, to live more deeply, to honor his brother's memory in every step he takes. And now, I ask you, are you going to let your pain break you? Or will you choose to let it shape you into someone stronger, someone wiser? Because what comes next are 10 Stoic lessons, lessons that have helped countless souls survive, heal, and even thrive through life's most brutal storms. And if you truly apply these teachings, I promise you, you will start seeing adversity through new, unbreakable eyes. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this story and these reflections, consider subscribing and becoming part of our exclusive community to access unique content and deeper insights. Now, pause for a moment and reflect. What loss or pain are you still carrying inside you? The one you haven't been able to release. What wound do you keep reopening in your mind again and again? Today is the day to take the first step toward freedom. Make a commitment to yourself. Write in the comments, "Today I let go of the pain." Or simply type, "I Stoic," so we'll know you're walking this path alongside us. We want to grow and heal together with you. One important thing you must understand: you're not special. I know that might sting, but this isn't about crushing your spirit. It's about setting you free. You are not special in the sense that there's no cosmic force shielding you from hardship. There is no divine contract guaranteeing everything will work out exactly as you planned. Sooner or later, you will lose something: a person you love, a cherished dream, a golden opportunity, even a piece of yourself. And that's okay. That is how life works. That is the price of truly living. But don't misunderstand me. I'm not here to bring you down. I'm not here to scold or to fill you with pessimism. Quite the opposite. I'm here to wake you up, to help you see reality with clear, unflinching eyes so you can handle it with grace and power. Because when you stop expecting life to be fair, when you finally accept that loss is a part of the journey, something incredible happens. You become unstoppable. The problem is that we were raised to believe that if we just did everything right, life would reward us exactly as we imagined. We grew up thinking life was a simple, predictable equation. You study hard, you work relentlessly, you give your best, and in return, the universe hands you happiness and success on a silver platter. But reality doesn't work that way. You can give it everything: your sweat, your heart, your entire soul, and still lose. You can love someone with all your heart and still end up alone. You can plan every detail of your future, only to watch it collapse in an instant like a fragile house of cards. But here's what truly matters. It's not about what you lose. It's about how you react to it. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus said it beautifully. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to. Instead, want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well. Imagine a sailor, not just any sailor, but one who has spent his entire life navigating only calm, gentle waters, no storms, no crashing waves, no wild winds. The day a real tempest hits, he is helpless. He has no idea how to handle the chaos. He panics, he freezes. But then imagine another sailor, one who has faced the wild fury of the sea, who has felt the brutal wind whip across his face and watched towering waves rise before him. He doesn't panic. He adjusts his sails. He adapts. He knows he can't control the sea, but he can control how he navigates it. life is exactly the same. If you spend your life expecting smooth sailing, the first time a storm hits, and it will, you'll sink. But if you understand from the start that the waves, the storms, the setbacks are all part of the journey, you'll learn to ride them without fear. Look around you. Every person you admire, every great leader, every brilliant artist, every philosopher who changed the world, they all lost something precious along the way. None of them traveled an easy road. They faced failures, betrayals, rejections, unimaginable grief. The difference between them and those who never move forward is simple. They didn't believe they were special. They didn't think the universe owed them a smooth ride. They understood deeply that losing is part of the game. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors in history, knew this firsthand. He lost his beloved wife. He watched many of his children die. He faced wars, betrayals, and deadly plagues. He had every reason to collapse under the weight of his pain. But instead of cursing fate, he wrote in his meditations, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is what sets the Stoics apart from most people. They don't waste time complaining. They don't demand that the world bend to their expectations. They accept reality, face it head-on, and move forward. Now, tell me, are you going to keep believing that your suffering is some unfair punishment? Or will you finally accept it as a natural, inevitable part of life? The next time something doesn't go your way, the next time life snatches something precious from your hands, remember this: you're not special. You're not the only one who suffers, but you are the only one who decides what to do with that suffering. You can use it as an excuse to collapse and give up, or you can transform it into the fire that hardens you, sharpens you, makes you unbreakable. The choice will always be yours. Complaint is an invisible shackle, and you hold the key. If I told you that you've been wearing invisible chains for years without even realizing it, would you believe me? Probably not. But it's true. It's not a chain of iron or steel. It's something more subtle, more dangerous. It's complaint. At first, complaining feels good. I get it. It offers a momentary sense of relief, a fleeting rush of self-justification. It makes us feel like we're doing something, like we're delivering some poetic justice to the universe. But here's the trap. Complaining doesn't change a single thing. The only thing it does is bind you even tighter. And here's the worst part. The more you do it, the weaker you become. How can you possibly overcome life's hardest challenges if you spend your days lamenting? Instead of strengthening yourself, the Stoics understood this deeply centuries ago. To them, complaining about reality was as absurd as yelling at the ocean for having waves. Life does not bend to our expectations, and frustration is born when we refuse to accept it as it is. Epictetus put it bluntly: it's not what happens to you that harms you, but how you interpret it. The difference between a life filled with suffering and one filled with mental peace doesn't lie in the external problems you face. It lies entirely in how you choose to meet those problems. You can see every obstacle as a personal injustice and spend your days piling up complaints, slowly poisoning your own spirit. Or you can view each hardship as a test, a unique chance to build your strength and resilience. You can feed the complaint, or you can cultivate action. If you truly want to overcome life's toughest moments, you simply cannot afford to stay stuck in complaint mode. You must move forward. And here's where modern science powerfully confirms what the Stoics already knew so long ago. Psychology has shown that the more you complain, the more your mind becomes hardwired to focus on the negative in every situation. Your brain starts constantly scanning your environment, searching for reasons to reinforce your dissatisfaction. Like a radio permanently tuned to a static-filled channel of negativity. You don't have to look far to see this play out. We all know someone like this. The person who starts their day groaning, UGH. It's Monday again. Can't wait for Friday. Then they complain. Of course, it's raining just when I need to go out. And they end the day with, my life is such a mess. Nothing ever goes right for me. Their attitude changes absolutely nothing about their circumstances, but it drastically changes their perception of life. They become blind to anything good because they're too busy scanning for the bad. And here's the real danger when true hardship finally strikes. This person won't have the mental or emotional tools to face it. Their mindset, their own words and interpretations, will drag them even deeper into the darkness. This toxic cycle doesn't just harm the mind, it harms the body too. Neuroscience has discovered that repeated complaining increases cortisol levels, the stress hormone. In simpler terms, the more you complain, the more stressed you feel. And the more stressed you feel, the more you complain. It's a vicious loop that quietly devours you from the inside out. Now, imagine the opposite. Think about the most resilient people you know. The ones who, no matter what life throws at them, keep moving forward. The ones who always seem to find a way, who adapt without drowning in self-pity or endless complaints. It's not that they don't feel pain, they do, but they refuse to feed that pain with their own words. They don't view complaining as an option, only as another obstacle they must step beyond to continue growing. Life is going to challenge you. It's going to hit you in unexpected ways, at unexpected times. But complaining won't make those blows disappear. Instead, if you take charge of your language, if you stop fueling your grievances and start focusing on what you can actually do, you free yourself from a shackle that has silently been holding you back for years. So, the big question is, how did you break this invisible chain of complaint? Here are 3 practical steps you can start using today. First, replace complaints with powerful questions. Every time you feel the urge to complain, stop, pause, reframe it into a question that empowers you instead of trapping you. Instead of saying, I hate my job, they pay me nothing, ask yourself, what can I do today to move closer to a better job or a new opportunity? Complaining keeps you stuck, frozen in dissatisfaction. Questions, on the other hand, propel you forward toward action, toward change. Second, speak like someone who is in control. Your language isn't just words. It's the framework through which your mind interprets reality. The words you choose literally shape the way you see and experience the world around you. Instead of saying, I can't take this anymore, say, this is hard, but I will find a way through it. Instead of, I have to do this, Say, I choose to do this. It might seem like a tiny detail, but to your brain, it makes a world of difference. It turns a passive obligation into an empowered choice. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into an architect of your life. Third, surround yourself with people who don't complain. Emotions are contagious. Mindsets are contagious. If you spend your days surrounded by people who only see problems and recite an endless list of complaints, you'll slowly, almost without noticing, adopt the same bleak perspective. But if you surround yourself with people who seek solutions, who look for possibilities instead of obstacles, your way of thinking will start to shift naturally. You'll start to see challenges as puzzles to solve rather than prisons that hold you captive. Remember this: every time you complain, you tighten your own chains a little more. But every time you take action, every time you shift the way you speak and perceive things, you take another powerful step toward freedom. Complaint is an invisible shackle, and you hold the key. You alone decide whether to remain chained or to use the key that's always been in your hand. 3. Accept that the end will come. Everything that begins will eventually end. Every living thing that is born will, one day, reach its final moment. This is the unbreakable law of nature. The tallest tree in the forest, the one that has stood through countless storms and offered shade to countless wanderers, will one day fall. The mighty river that carves valleys and mountains with its fierce flow will eventually dry up. Seasons change, stars explode, oceans transform. Nothing is eternal. And yet, no one stands beside a fallen tree shouting that it's unfair. No one calls it a cosmic injustice when a flower withers and dies. We accept it as part of nature's beautiful, bittersweet rhythm. So why is it so difficult for us to accept endings when it comes to our own lives, or the lives of those we love? The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that resisting the inevitable doesn't preserve happiness. It only multiplies suffering. This acceptance isn't about pessimism or resignation. It's about seeing life with open, honest eyes. Epictetus taught that the fleeting nature of life isn't something to dread, but something to embrace. Clinging desperately to what is mortal only makes us slaves to fear and anguish. The Stoics practiced memento mori, a Latin phrase meaning remember that you will die. It might sound harsh at first, almost morbid, but it is one of the most liberating reminders we can carry. Because when you remember that everything can end at any moment, you stop postponing life. You stop waiting for someday. You start to truly, fiercely live. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. The time is slipping away. While you have life, while it is in your power, be good." Reflect on this. If you knew you had only 24 hours left to live, would you still complain about trivial annoyances? Would you keep delaying the important conversations? The dreams you've tucked away for later? The end is not your enemy. In fact, the real enemy is wasting life on useless worries and empty regrets. So wake up. Stop acting as if you have infinite time. If you love someone, tell them today. If there's something you've always wanted to do, do it now. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because that moment may never come. Accepting that everything has an end isn't surrendering. It isn't giving up. It's living with radical awareness. It's not about obsessing over death. It's about seeing it clearly for what it is, a natural, inescapable part of life's cycle. And the sooner you accept this universal truth, the less power it will hold over you. This isn't just some abstract philosophy or poetic idea. It's real. Think about those who have stared directly into life's fragility and returned. Survivors of severe illnesses, fatal accidents, or moments when they stood on the very edge of the abyss, staring into the unknown. Those people never live the same way again. They stop fussing over trivial things. They begin to focus intensely on what truly matters. They embrace each sunrise and every quiet moment with a raw, renewed intensity. Now tell me, do you really need to wait for a near-death moment to finally open your eyes? Don't let the end catch you unprepared. Start now. As the Stoics taught us, live with intention. Don't waste your precious time drifting through life. Do what truly matters to your soul. Ask yourself each morning, if today were my last day, would I be proud of how I am living it? Don't postpone love or those words that live heavy on your heart. Tell the people you love how you feel. Today, one day, they won't be here, and when that day comes, the only thing left will be what you did and said while they were still alive. And perhaps the hardest lesson, but also one of the most important: stop fearing the end. Use it as fuel. Instead of running away from the truth that everything ends, let it light a fire inside you. Let it push you to act, to savor, to squeeze every drop of joy from every single moment. The fleeting nature of life isn't the problem. The true problem is not having truly lived, because, my friend, believe me, the end will come. But if you live like a true Stoic, when it arrives, it won't find you trembling in fear. It will find you calm, ready, and at peace, for nothing is as bad as it seems in your head. If there's ever a moment when you feel like your entire world is collapsing, like what you're facing is utterly unbearable, try this exercise. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself slowly rising above your own body, higher and higher. See yourself from above. Now keep rising until you can see your entire city, then your entire country, and eventually the whole earth. Suddenly, that problem that felt so gigantic, it starts to shrink, doesn't it? That's because, in the grand scheme of things, it truly is smaller than you think. Whatever is tormenting you right now isn't the end of the world. Maybe it's the end of a chapter, the closing of a door, a turning of the page. But there are countless new experiences waiting for you beyond it. The problem isn't what happens to us. The problem is how we choose to interpret it. Our minds have a sneaky way of blowing problems out of proportion, making them look monstrous, like looking at a small object through a magnifying glass, until it seems huge and unmanageable. What is actually just an obstacle turns into an unscalable wall. But let me tell you something important. That wall exists only in your mind. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman explained that our brains are wired to exaggerate danger, a survival mechanism inherited from our ancestors. Think about it. If a lion was chasing you on the savannah, Exaggerating the threat could literally save your life. But today, we aren't running from lions. We're stressing over emails, social media comments, missed deadlines. Yet, our brain still triggers the same primal alarm system as if we were facing a predator. Now remember something that once kept you up at night a year ago. Something that felt like the absolute end of everything back then. What happened? You're still here. You survived. If you could have zoomed out back then, if you could have seen that problem from a higher, wider perspective, you would have realized it wasn't as devastating as it seemed. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully. If something external disturbs you, the problem is not in the thing itself, but in your interpretation of it. And this you can change at any moment. Imagine this. You're on a plane, and suddenly you feel a slight tremor. The plane shakes a little, but everything remains perfectly calm. However, in your head, you've already created an entire disaster movie. Something's wrong. What if we crash? What if this is the end? The reality? It's just a bit of turbulence. Something completely normal on any flight. But in your mind, it morphs into an impending tragedy. That's how the mind works. It takes a simple shake and turns it into a freefall catastrophe. The same thing happens in life. You lose your job, and immediately your mind paints a bleak picture. You imagine yourself homeless, with no future. You lose someone you love, and you convince yourself you'll never be whole again. One single failure makes you believe you're a complete failure at everything. But then, time passes. You gain perspective. You look back and realize it wasn't as devastating as you thought. Sometimes, it even turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to you. I'll admit, I've fallen into this mental trap myself. I clearly remember two moments when my mind convinced me my world was ending. The first was when I lost a job that meant everything to me at the time. I felt lost, worthless, convinced I had completely failed and would never find anything better. The sense of hopelessness was overwhelming. The second was when I ended a long-term relationship that had been part of my life for years. I felt empty, like everything I had built and believed in had suddenly turned to dust. I replayed every moment in my mind, searching for answers, blaming myself, wondering endlessly what I had done wrong. I can still feel the sting of those days. The long nights, the heavy mornings, the endless questions echoing in my mind. In both situations, my mind blew the problem out of all proportion, turning it into a catastrophe that felt impossible to survive. But over time, and with a shift in perspective, I realized that neither of those moments marked the end. When I began applying Stoic principles, I understood something powerful. Every crisis is temporary. Every hardship carries a hidden lesson. What feels utterly unbearable today will become just a memory, sometimes even a source of strength tomorrow. This realization didn't just help me overcome those two particular struggles. It fundamentally changed how I approach every difficult moment in life. Because now I know nothing is ever as bad as it seems when you're right in the middle of it. If you're feeling overwhelmed by something today, here are 3 tricks that helped me navigate my darkest storms. First, change the questions you ask yourself. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I handle this? How can I grow from this?" The first question traps you inside the problem. The second guides you toward a solution. Second, use the 5-year technique. When something feels like it's consuming your entire soul, pause and ask, "Will this matter in 5 years?" Almost every time, the answer is no. And when you see it from that perspective, the weight of the problem starts to crumble. Third, distance yourself mentally from the problem. Imagine stepping outside your body and watching yourself from a distance, as if you were a character in a film. Observe the situation as if it were happening to someone else. This mental exercise helps you stop reacting with raw emotion and start acting with clarity and logic. My friend, whatever you are going through, it is always bigger in your head than it is in reality. What feels absolutely unbearable today will become just another story in your journey tomorrow. What seems like the end right now is nothing more than temporary turbulence. 5. Become anti-fragile. Most things in this world break when chaos strikes. Glass shatters under sudden force. Paper tears with the slightest tug. A weak bridge collapses in a strong wind. But some things, instead of weakening when hit, actually grow stronger. That is the powerful difference between being fragile and being anti-fragile. The thinker and mathematician Nassim Taleb, the creator of the concept of anti-fragility, studied how certain systems not only survive chaos but actually become stronger. Because of it, being anti-fragile isn't just about enduring life's punches. It's about letting each blow shape you into someone wiser, stronger, and even more prepared for what's next. So what does it truly mean to be anti-fragile? It's like resilience on a whole new level. Resilience to point zero. Or, as you might call it, the essence of a true Stoic. Epictetus taught us that life doesn't test you to break you. It tests you to strengthen the parts of you that are still fragile, still unprepared. Every hardship, if you use it wisely, becomes an invitation to forge yourself anew. The real question is, are you like glass, or are you like fire? Glass shatters at the first hard strike, but fire only grows stronger, wilder, brighter with every gust of wind that tries to snuff it out. If you're sitting there waiting for life to someday stop being difficult, if you're holding out for that mythical day when everything is finally under control, and nothing pushes you out of your comfort zone, I have some hard news for you. The world doesn't get easier. You must get stronger. And here lies the powerful difference between ordinary people and those who become anti-fragile. Fragile people see adversity as a punishment, as a curse to be avoided at all costs. Resilient people endure it. They survive, but often without truly transforming. Anti-fragile people, they do something entirely different. They take adversity and turn it into their greatest teacher, their most precious raw material. Every failure, every painful blow, every heart-wrenching moment, these become sparks that forge them into something unbreakable. Think about how a sword is forged. It's not shaped by softness or gentle words. It's shaped by fire, precise hammering, and relentless pressure. Without this, the metal remains soft, weak, unable to withstand any real test. You are exactly the same. If every hit life throws at you leaves you weaker and more fragile, you will break. But if you use each fall, each setback, as part of your training, you will emerge sharper, stronger, and ready for any battle. Marcus Aurelius described it beautifully. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Every hardship can become your fuel. You decide whether it will burn you down or light you up. But how do you become anti-fragile? How do you turn every hardship into something that strengthens you rather than destroys you? The first step is to change the way you talk to yourself. Every time you face an obstacle, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask yourself the only question that truly matters. How can I use this to grow? What can I learn from this pain? This single act of reframing already shifts you from victimhood to power. You also need to train yourself before life does it for you. Those who wait for adversity to come before learning how to handle it are already at a disadvantage. Step out of your comfort zone deliberately. Seek challenges on purpose. Make yourself uncomfortable now so you build the mental and emotional muscles that will carry you when life really tests you. The discomfort you embrace today becomes the strength you draw on tomorrow without even thinking. And above all, stop searching for stability, shelter, or guarantees in anything outside yourself. Stability is an illusion. Nothing in life stays exactly as it is. Those who cling desperately to what exists today will suffer the most when change inevitably comes. But those who understand that uncertainty is part of the game learn to move fluidly with it instead of fighting it. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can always control what you do with it. So the choice is yours. Will you shatter like glass, or will you grow and glow like fire? 6. Step out of the box from time to time. Did you know that you're living inside a box right now? No, I'm not talking about the walls of your house or your office. I'm talking about an invisible box made of your beliefs, your expectations, and everything you've taken for granted about life. A box that dictates what you think is possible, what you think is impossible, who you believe you are, and who you believe you can never become. And here's the real problem. That box isn't reality. It's just a map, a simplified version of the world. A set of instructions you were handed without questioning. That box was built piece by your parents, your teachers, your past experiences, and the culture you grew up in. But like any map, it doesn't represent the entire territory. It's only a limited, distorted snapshot of what truly exists beyond its borders. If you never question that box, you become its prisoner. The Stoics understood that the greatest threat to our freedom doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from the rigidity of our own minds. The more rigid your thoughts, the more you will suffer when reality inevitably refuses to fit into your narrow mold. Epictetus put it plainly. It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. It's not reality that chains us. It's our own opinions, our expectations, our insistence that life must unfold exactly as we imagine. If you believe there is only one path to happiness, and that path is destroyed, what happens? You collapse into despair. If you cling to the belief that life should be fair, and it isn't, You start to feel like the whole world is against you. But if you learn to see beyond your mental box, you become adaptable, resilient, unstoppable. I'm sure you know someone who lives completely trapped in their mental box. The person who always says, "That's just how things are," or "I am who I am. I can't change," or "that will never work." Now ask yourself, what happens to someone like that when life suddenly shifts? When they lose their job? When someone they love walks away? When reality shows them, brutally, that their precious box was only an illusion? Let me guess. They crumble. They drown in uncertainty because they never learned to look beyond the self-imposed limits they've clung to their whole lives. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, said it perfectly: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That's exactly what your mental box does to you. If you never question your beliefs, if you never expand your vision, you'll live in repetitive patterns without even realizing it, trapped in an endless loop you mistake for destiny. The hardest moments in life become unbearable when you desperately cling to how you thought life should be. But if you can look beyond, if you can stretch your perspective, you'll discover new paths, new options, new ways to rebuild yourself. So, my friend, I encourage you to start stepping out of the box. Begin by questioning the things you take for granted. Can you really not change? Is there truly no other way to see what's happening to you? Ask yourself uncomfortable questions, because easy answers only serve to reinforce the walls of your box. Expose your mind to new ideas. Read books that challenge you. Talk to people who see the world differently than you do. Rigidity starts to dissolve the moment you give yourself permission to explore beyond what you know. And when life corners you, as it inevitably will, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What else is here that I'm not seeing?" That single question has the power to change everything. Because outside the box, there's an entire world waiting for you. A world that has always been there, just beyond the edges of your comfort zone. And only when you learn to step beyond it will you realize you were never truly trapped at all. 7. Silence, the superpower within you. If I asked you to sit in complete silence for just 5 minutes, no talking, no phone, no music, no distractions at all, just you and your thoughts, could you really do it? Maybe you think you could. You might say, "Of course, it's easy. You just have to keep quiet." But I challenge you. Try it right now. Just 5 minutes. Sit in complete silence with no phone, no music, no scrolling, no distractions at all. Just you and your thoughts. What happens? The truth is, silence makes us deeply uncomfortable. It forces us to confront what's actually going on inside our minds, the worries, the doubts, the fears we try so hard to avoid. That's exactly why we fill our lives with constant noise. We flood our days with distractions, meaningless small talk, endless social media scrolling, 24-hour news cycles that add nothing valuable to our lives, all to avoid facing ourselves. But here's what very few people realize. Real power lives in that silence. External noise is merely a mirror of our internal noise. We live in a world that worships noise. If you're not posting, commenting, reacting, it's as if you don't exist yet. The person who's always talking rarely says anything truly valuable. The Stoics understood this long ago. The truly wise person isn't the one who speaks the most, but the one who observes the most, listens the most, and thinks deeply before responding. Epictetus captured this perfectly. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. What happens when you start valuing silence? First, you realize just how much unnecessary noise exists, not only in the world but also inside your own mind. Second, you learn not to react impulsively to everything that happens, and that, my friend, is pure magic, because it allows you to pause during difficult moments, process them fully, and face them with greater calm and resilience. Remember, most problems don't come from what happens to us. They come from how we react to what happens. Think about that person who, every time something goes wrong, cannot stop talking, yelling, complaining, blaming, explaining. They fill every gap with words, as if silence were a terrifying void to avoid at any cost. What happens to them when a truly difficult situation rises? They get lost in their own noise, tangled in confusion, unable to find solutions because they never pause to listen. Not to themselves, not to others, not even to life itself. The Stoics taught that a mind overloaded with words has no space for clarity. Life's biggest challenges aren't always solved with more talking, more action, or more noise. In moments of crisis, true power lies in calmness, in the ability to stop, observe, and allow silence to create the space where solutions can emerge. The Stoics knew that when life's storms rage around you, what truly matters isn't what you shout out to the world. It's your mental strength, your capacity to remain quiet, reflect, and find your way forward with clear vision when everything feels like it's collapsing. When you feel completely cornered, the worst thing you can do is react blindly without thinking. Psychologist Rollo May, one of the greatest scholars of the human mind, said it beautifully. In silence, we find the answers to questions we didn't even know we had. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. Space to process, to understand, to make wise choices instead of impulsive ones. And the best part, this superpower is already inside you. You don't have to learn it from scratch. You just have to allow it to exist and give it room to breathe. But how can you use silence to become stronger in this world obsessed with noise? Start by practicing conscious pauses. Before responding to something that upsets you, breathe. Before reacting to a problem that overwhelms you, pause and observe it. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Find moments of silence every day. You don't need to spend hours meditating on a mountain top, but you do need to give your mind a space free from constant noise and endless distractions. Silence is the sacred ground where the best ideas are born, where your mind quietly untangles the most complicated situations, and where you finally hear the whispers of your own deepest wisdom. And most importantly, learn to be truly comfortable in that silence. Because if you can't sit quietly with yourself, It means there's something inside you that you're desperately avoiding. The next time chaos surrounds you, the next time life throws you into a storm that feels like a horror movie scene, don't react automatically. Stay silent, even if just for a few precious seconds. In that pause, you will discover something powerful. Silence isn't an absence. It's a profound presence. The presence of your true self, your clear thoughts, your untapped inner power. 8. Stop expecting life to be easy. We've all been programmed to seek the path of least resistance. We crave rewards without sacrifice, success without failure, love without conflict. But you and I both know that life simply doesn't work that way. And the sooner you truly accept this, the sooner you will finally set yourself free. This isn't a new idea. The Stoics saw this with piercing clarity centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will flow well." Expecting life to be easy is the perfect recipe for constant disappointment. Every time reality refuses to match your expectations, you will feel betrayed, as if life is playing some cruel trick on you. But here's the raw, liberating truth. Life owes you nothing, and yet, paradoxically, it offers you everything. If you are brave enough to face it as it is. Think about Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. He lost almost everything: his family, his career, his freedom. But there was one thing he refused to surrender: his attitude. In the very heart of unimaginable horror, he discovered a truth that would go on to inspire millions. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Frankl couldn't control his external world, but he could always choose his response. And in that choice lay his greatest power. Now, let's bring this to you. Imagine yourself walking along a mountain trail. In the beginning, the path is smooth. The sun is warm and everything feels easy. But as you climb higher, the trail becomes steeper. Rocks make each step more painful. The air grows thinner, and your legs tremble with fatigue. Some people, when faced with this difficulty, stop. They sit by the side of the path, waiting for it to magically become easier. They wait. They complain, and inevitably, they give up. But others keep going, despite the burning in their muscles, despite their lungs screaming for air. And those are the ones who, upon finally reaching the summit, witness a view so breathtaking it takes their pain and transforms it into something beautiful and unforgettable. This isn't just a story about climbing mountains. This is life itself. You cannot expect the road to always be flat and smooth. Difficult moments aren't proof that something is wrong with you. They're a natural, necessary part of the journey. Let's ground this in something real. Imagine you've spent months preparing for an opportunity you truly desire. Your company promises a promotion if you outperform your colleagues. You've sacrificed weekends, stayed late at the office, given every ounce of your energy to succeed. But in the end, despite all your effort, despite giving your absolute best, you don't get it. Someone else had stronger results, more revenue, or simply performed better. Your dream slips through your fingers. What do you do then? If you cling to the belief that things should have been easier, this failure will crush you. you'll fall into a cycle of complaints, resentment, and self-pity. But if you accept difficulty as an essential part of the journey, then that setback transforms into a lesson. You don't crumble, you rise. You analyze, you learn, you adjust your approach, and you try again. And next time, when another opportunity presents itself, you will be stronger, wiser, and far more prepared than before. So, how do you stop expecting everything to be easy and start facing hardships with an unshakable, stoic mindset? First, accept that difficulty is not an obstacle. It's part of the process. Don't fight against it. Discomfort isn't your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Think about lifting weights in the gym. The resistance you feel isn't there to defeat you. It's exactly what helps your muscles grow. Life works in the exact same way. Each challenge is like adding more weight to your bar. It strengthens you, rep by rep. Second, train your mind to find solutions instead of excuses. Some people get stuck endlessly asking, "Why is this happening to me?" While others ask, "What can I do with this? How can I use this?" Guess who moves forward? Guess who grows? Finally, face the challenge head-on. The next time something feels overwhelmingly difficult, don't run from it. Don't postpone it or search for an escape route. Take a deep breath and move. Clarity comes through movement, not hesitation. The Stoics didn't sit around waiting for life to get easier. They knew it never would. Instead, they focused on becoming stronger, more adaptable, and more determined. When you do that, it doesn't matter how tough the road becomes. You will always find a way to keep going. 9. Don't look for shortcuts. Do you want to know why you're still stuck, feeling like you're going in circles? The answer is brutally simple. Because you keep running from challenges. You keep chasing shortcuts, quick fixes, and magic tricks that promise to save you effort and pain. But let me ask you, when has anything truly meaningful ever come without effort? There are no shortcuts to building something real. Not in success, not in love, not in mental strength. Everything you try to rush today will cost you tomorrow. You might dodge the hard work now, but the debt will always come due later. And this isn't just motivational fluff. Science supports it. Psychologist Angela Duckworth, in her groundbreaking study on grit, discovered that true success depends far less on talent and far more on perseverance. Her research showed that people who are most resilient to failure consistently outperform even the most talented individuals. Why? Because they don't look for shortcuts. They stay, they endure, they learn and keep going when others give up and vanish. Seneca said it perfectly centuries ago. Without needing scientific studies to confirm it, we do not dare to undertake many things because they are difficult. But they are difficult because we do not dare to undertake them. There it is, the key truth. The path isn't impossible. Most people simply quit before they even begin. Think of a tree growing during a storm. The fierce wind shakes it violently. The heavy rain pounds against it. But what does it do? It pushes its roots deeper into the ground. It becomes stronger, more resilient, and unshakable. Meanwhile, the weak plants that sprouted quickly and effortlessly, they are ripped from the ground at the first sign of resistance. You might be thinking, but what's wrong with making things easier? Nothing. As long as you don't confuse easy with effective. Think about the time you tried learning a new language and gave up when fluency didn't come instantly, or when you decided to get in shape but fell for empty promises of overnight transformations. Every time you chase a shortcut, you rob yourself of the priceless opportunity to build real strength. True strength doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from the easy road. It is forged when you stay, when you endure, when you keep going even when it hurts, even when every part of you screams to stop. So, how do you make sure you don't fall into the trap of taking the easy way out? Start by understanding one fundamental truth. Difficulty is not the problem. It's the solution. If something feels challenging, it's not there to break you. It's there to shape you, to carve out the stronger version of yourself waiting to emerge. Then, do what's uncomfortable now so that life becomes easier later. Train your mind and your body. Persist when others throw in the towel. That, my friend, is the real shortcut, because there are no shortcuts. And finally, take full ownership of your path. Stop waiting for someone to come and make life easier for you. No one is coming. It's up to you. So, the next time you feel tempted to take the easy way out, stop and ask yourself, does this choice make me better, or does it just save me effort? Because the easy path will never give you what you truly want. It only gives you temporary comfort. The hard path, that's the one that will transform you. And now, my friend, do you want to know the ultimate trick the Stoics used to overcome any challenge and navigate the hardest moments without losing themselves? Stay with me just a little longer, and this key, this life-changing key, will be yours. 10. Embrace radical responsibility. Imagine, just for a moment, that everything that happens in your life is your responsibility. Can you accept that? It's not easy, right? In fact, it probably doesn't even sound fair. But that's exactly where true freedom begins. Let me explain more clearly. How many times have you blamed others, blamed circumstances, or blamed pure luck for what happens to you? Yet, when you look closely, almost everything in your life, good or bad, is the result of your decisions. I know. It's not your fault that it rains on the day you finally planned to go for that long run. That's true, and that's why I say responsibility, not fault. You can't control the rain, but you can absolutely control how you respond to it. That's the essence of radical responsibility. It's not about sitting around waiting for circumstances to change, or hoping someone will come and rescue you. The power is in your ability to respond, not as a victim, but from a place of choice and strength. Yes, radical responsibility is brutal. It hits the ego like a lightning bolt, but it's also the only path to real transformation and deep, lasting freedom. Ask yourself, why are you still waiting for someone else to change so that you can finally be happy? Why do you complain about what you don't have but refuse to take action to create it? The truth is, the moment you decide that everything in your life is your responsibility, that's when real freedom starts. Because suddenly, your life no longer depends on others. You become the author of your own story. Let's say you want to buy a Lamborghini. You can't because you don't have $500,000. You might say, it's not my fault I can't buy it. Sure, but what if instead you said, if I truly want it? It's my responsibility to figure out how to earn and save $500,000. See how the story changes. Now it's your responsibility. Now you can create a plan, take steps, and make it possible if it really matters to you. That's the magic of radical responsibility. And no, I don't actually want you to buy a Lamborghini. It's just a vivid example to make this lesson clear. Viktor Frankl takes it even further. He said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This is the very heart of radical responsibility. In that small, often overlooked space between what happens to you and how you choose to react. That's where your true power lives. It's like a tree growing in the middle of a fierce storm. The wind thrashes it, the rain pounds it, but instead of falling, its roots dig deeper into the earth. It becomes stronger, more solid, unmovable. Meanwhile, those weak little plants that sprouted quickly and easily, they're ripped out by their roots. That is life. What seems to be your greatest burden today, if you choose to take full responsibility for it, can become your greatest strength tomorrow. I know, this might sound terrifying, and honestly, it is. Because in that leap without a parachute, in that radical moment where you decide to stop waiting for someone else to save you, to guide you, to push you, that's exactly where you will discover what you are truly capable of. Radical responsibility isn't easy. It demands everything from you: your courage, your honesty, your relentless commitment. But it is the only thing that will truly take you to the life you want, to the version of yourself you were born to become. Every step forward is your decision. So ask yourself right now, what am I going to do with this power? Are you going to keep waiting for circumstances to change magically on their own? Or are you finally going to start changing yourself? This is the point of no return. Accepting that everything, absolutely everything, what happens to you, what you build, what you learn, what you become, is in your control. As Epictetus said so perfectly, it is not things that disturb us, but our opinion about them. Radical responsibility isn't just a pretty idea to write in your journal. It is the master key to unlock your entire life. No shortcuts, no excuses. Only one question remains. Will you embrace responsibility and take control? Or will you keep waiting for someone else to do it for you? The choice has always been, and will always be, in your hands. Remember, my friend, true strength doesn't come from running away from obstacles. It is born in the fire of facing them head on, with courage and unwavering perseverance. So if you truly want to transform your life, don't stay stuck in your comfort zone. Take that first brave step. Embrace the difficult. Turn every single challenge into an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become unstoppable. What lies ahead won't be easy, but I promise you, it will be the most meaningful, the most valuable, the most liberating thing you will ever do. Never forget what the Stoics taught us. What happens around you is often inevitable, but what you choose to do with it, that is entirely, powerfully, beautifully in your hands. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Each obstacle makes me stronger." That way, I'll know exactly who the true Stoic warriors are, the ones who stayed until the very end. Ready to grow. And before you leave, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give this video a big thumbs up so you won't miss the wisdom and stories coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist on the screen right now. It's packed with ideas, stories, and practical advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and unshakable confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together.